How we think about this issue matters a whole lot. Because there's this whole other engine that can power your life. You don't have to keep yourself lockstep in line with a bunch of regulations. This other engine that changes you from the inside out, that transforms you into a whole new creature. And that great engine of transformation is faith, hope, and love. Remember, back at the very beginning of this chapter, he said, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery." And now he says in verse 5, "For through the Spirit, by faith, we ourselves eagerly wait for the hope of righteousness." The Spirit and hope are ultimately these powerful new engines in your life when you are absolutely certain of God's love for you. When you have faith in that, boy, you can be transformed. You can be renewed. Okay, man, I get how the Spirit becomes an engine in your life. I mean, that's God. He's working. He's got power. He's effectual. He can do all kinds of things, the Spirit of God. But I get that part as being an engine. But hope? How is hope transformative? Well, let me submit to you that the word hope in the English language does not get across the meaning of the Greek word that it translates. In fact, if you understand the breadth and depth of meaning of the Greek word that's used there that we translate as hope, it will change how you think about so much of the New Testament, because the word hope comes up all the time in the New Testament. In English, hope carries uncertainty. There's a little bit of doubt even within hope. For instance, last fall when we were doing our capital actually it was last summer, when we started our capital campaign for the air conditioning units back there, and somebody came up to me and said, "Do you think we can really raise $35,000 for an air conditioning unit?" I said, "Well, I hope so." So what was I saying? What I was saying was, maybe. I mean, I'd like to keep it on the positive side rather than the negative side, but maybe. I mean, I don't know, but I want it to be this way. But the word in the Greek that is translated hope, well, that is way closer to absolute certainty. See, the Greek word is elpis, and it actually means expectancy, anticipation, confidence in outcomes. So here's where that matters. If you're trying to save yourself, you can never be sure until you're dead whether or not you've actually accomplished that. And then it's too late. You don't know whether or not you've been successful, right? You'll hope, the English version of hope, that you're successful, which means maybe you're successful, but you don't really know. And that's what many people in our culture think Christian hope is, but it isn't. Verse 5 says, "Through the Spirit we eagerly await the hope of righteousness." Right? And if we're using that English understanding of that, and we say, well, maybe there'll be righteousness that'll be given to us, right? Maybe it's a hope we have, but we might not be made righteous too. We just hope we might. But of course, that can't be the understanding of that verse. It just can't be that idea, the hope of righteousness. Because there's no uncertainty in the text. And we know there's not because there's this word eagerly in there as well that Paul has inserted for us. Eagerness has nothing to do with uncertainty. Why are kids eager to go to bed on Christmas Eve? Because of eagerness, they know Christmas is coming the next day. There's no, well, it maybe will come. They know it's coming. That's why they want to go to bed. So that when they wake up, it's here. We're excited for it to happen when it happens, and it surely will, Paul is saying. So the first thing that happens when you know you're saved by grace alone through the finished work of Jesus Christ is you can be filled with this absolute certainty about your future, about how God sees you, about how you will see yourself to be actually someday in your life. When you trust in Jesus Christ, heaven is certain. Righteousness is certain. Why? Because of propitiation, because of resurrection, because of adoption, because of all of those things. And someone says, well, I believe that, and sometimes I still doubt. Well, yeah, of course. Because your native language is self-reliance. It feels unnatural to trust in another. I would be a lot more certain if I could control all of the outcomes and all of the factors. But then I wouldn't be more certain, would I? Because I know me. I'd wreck it somehow. I know what a failure I am. And that's why you have to speak the gospel over yourself over and over and over again. Because even though you have that hope, that expectancy of what is coming, you still feel this tinge of doubt in your life. Did Jesus die on the cross? Did he willingly come? Did he lay aside privilege so that he could come and take on form of a human being, so that he could live a life perfectly, so that he could become the perfect sacrifice and willingly go to the cross and die a horrific death on your behalf, spilling his blood so that it would cover all of your sin for all time? Do you believe that or not? See, when Paul says, for in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision nor uncircumcision counts for anything, but only faith working through love, when he says that, what he means is neither moral achievement, which is circumcision, that's the law, moral achievement, nor pagan slavery will mean anything to you at that point. Look, if you do something good after you've accepted Christ, well, if you do something good before you accept Christ, great, you did something good. That's good in and of itself, but it doesn't make God love you more. If you do something evil before you come to Christ, or even after you come to Christ, it's like, well, rats. But that doesn't make God love you less. For while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. However, when you do something good out of love for God, see, motives matter, or out of love for your fellow person, that's good, because now you're getting to God's heart. You're not doing it for your own sake. You're not doing it for selfish reasons. You're doing it for another. Yay! Do you see? You're becoming transformed when that's your motivation for doing something. Is like, I just want to do it so that God gets the glory. My motivations are transformed. How do you get there? Well, every day you have to fill your heart with the certainty of the hope of Jesus Christ. That's how hope becomes transformative in your life. That's ultimately the expectation that Paul has for you and I. Philippians chapter 1, verse 6, I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. Then we'll be completely transformed. Hey, look, if you're living in the secular world, if you're a secular person, your only certainty in life is that you will die. And maybe taxes. That's another issue. Any other religion that you're a part of, you'll never have any idea whether or not you're good enough. Never. There's always going to be this doubt in your life. But Christians are galvanized by this knowledge of the beauty of righteousness and glory we know that we're going to be enveloped with, which is guaranteed, it's a certainty, because of the resurrection. Because we know that he has given us all the receipts, that what he is promised to us, he is able to accomplish. That's the transformative hope we have. And what that does is it completely removes all of our fear. It completely changes all of our motivations, because I now, like Christ, am not working to prove myself.